Number one, because I believe it's the right thing to do. I know that I am the one that can do this. I'm the one that can bring service and character to this district and in Congress. I think, like a lot of people, I'm tired and angry that our political leaders are really only in it for themselves. They don't care about us. They don't care about what we need on a day-to-day basis. They're driven by an astounding political partisan loyalty, as well as their dedication to their own ambition. That's not me. You know, I'm leaving a job I love because of my students, because of my granddaughter, and all women, all people out there that says, I want them to know you can stand up. And there's no challenge too great. If you believe in what you're doing, you got to go for it. And I never want to have I wish I would have. You know what I'm saying? I'm proud of what I did last cycle, and I'm excited for what we're going to do this cycle. There was an alarming sense of apathy last cycle. So many voters just didn't even bother. When I was out talking to people, they felt disappointed, and I think they just didn't get out and vote. And I need people to understand that their vote, their voice is their power, and one person can make a difference. I ask my students to do that every day. You know, you be the one to stand up to the bully, because sometimes it just takes one to say, hey dude, that's not cool. You know, back off. So be that one person. One person can make a difference. And I believe that's what happened a lot of last time. You know, Kevin's been around for a long time. I get it. And if you look at the way the voter turnout was, it was the same people in the primary and the general that voted. 100,000 people voted less in 2022 than they did in 2020. And I understand it wasn't presidential, but I believe a big part of it was because of that apathy, that disappointment in the system and in our leaders. So I want to get the message out that it doesn't have to be that way. There's always hope, and you have an option of someone who wants to go to work every single day for you, for the people here. Because honestly, that's what I'm about. That's what I've been doing for 23 years. And I think once they see that and they understand their power, and if I can get them out to vote, they're going to vote the person and not the party. When I'm elected, I would like to focus on some of the issues that have been prevalent here and ignored for so long. Poverty is one of them. There are 4 in 10 households here who live in poverty. I see every day in my students, our students, 97% receive free and reduced lunch. And this is not because parents aren't going out and doing their jobs. They're working 2 and 3 jobs, still maybe having to live in a home with another family member, still having to choose, do I put food on the table or do I take my kid to the doctor? And when you have the president advancing all of these policies to help and advance that, like the SNAP program that Republicans are going after, that's brought so many families, veterans, disabled out of poverty, and you're trying to cut that, and you're saying that's wasteful spending. It's not wasteful spending. My job is going to be to continue to make sure all of those supports are in place, so that we don't have hungry children, hungry people anymore, that people are given the dignity to go out and earn a wage, provide for themselves and their families. That's going to be my top priority. And hand in hand with poverty are the high levels of crime, which we've had. And I think a lot of the problem is that we have had a strong Republican representative in Congress with Kevin, and all of our law enforcement officials are strongly Republican. And I believe that the issue is that when you focus just on the outcome, for example, when you just say, well, we need heavier punishments, heavier convictions, what you're doing is putting a Band-Aid on the problem. You're not addressing why is crime such a problem? Where are these incidents of crime coming from? Until you can see that and look at the data and then correct what's happening there, the punishment means nothing. And if you notice, there was a decrease in the homicide rates. And that was because they started seeing that you have to implement intervention programs. We have to look at why so many of these people are homeless. You have homeless veterans who have not received services and help and support, mental health issues, addiction. Also, I'm not sure if people are aware, 1/3 of the homeless are youth who have aged out of the foster care system, and because they've been moved around, which I see in my kiddos all the time, they're never in the same school for a consistent amount of time. How are they going to get an education? So they're moved out of the system with no GED, and they just opened a house in Oildale, I believe it is, with the supports for these kiddos that will help them to get their GED, will give them skills on interview process. And that's what we need to do with the homeless. We need to create incentives for business people to purchase land, right? Give them tax incentives. We need to look at, you see the hotels that have fallen into disrepair. Again, give incentives for business owners to purchase these, move the homeless in, and then create also within these places for them to stay systems of support for the mental health, for the drug addiction, because these are humans. You can't just sweep them away and ignore why they're there.